Hello and welcome to the Garden Gurus. I'm Trevor Cochran. We have got another brilliant program for you today, packed full of down-to-earth gardening advice. Here's what's coming up on today's show. This week on the Garden Gurus, we've got lots of garden-friendly ideas and ways to keep your garden looking great as we head into winter. Like Bonnie's hitting the veggie patch, preparing for winter crops. And I'll show you the latest natural formula to help control your weeds.
Dig, 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 digging around. Dig, 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 digging the ground. I got my spade, I got my hoe, I got my rake, and I'm ready to go.
When I talk about setting up a pond or a water bowl, there is rarely a time when I don't recommend having a thick layer of fine gravel right across the base. A gravel substrate will be helpful for the overall health of the pond. It is really important to get the gravel layer to 10 centimetres in depth. This will enable beneficial bacteria to populate throughout the base of your pond. The size of the gravel is really important. It needs to be small enough for fish to be able to pick it up and move it around. So the 4 to 7 millimetre size gravel will be the best choice. I've got a new product here called Mineral Magic. It absorbs excess nutrient and will help reduce build-up of algae growth. And it provides a great growing bed for water lilies and water plants. The plants can spread their root system. Water lilies in particular prefer a gravel base rather than being confined just to the pot. Having a layer of Mineral Magic across the base of the pond will present a large surface area for beneficial bacteria to populate. These bacteria are instrumental in the pond health as they will be converting waste, which is toxic to fish, into a plant-available nutrient. If you already have a pond, you can add Mineral Magic to the existing gravel by applying a 20 to 50 millimetre layer across the floor of the pond. It can look cloudy on application, but it will settle quite quickly, leaving you with bright, clear water. Small gravel is easy for fish and crustaceans like marron and yabbies to pick up and move. They will be constantly turning over the top layer of gravel, essentially cleaning the base of the pond, burying any larger particles that the beneficial bacteria will consume. You might be tempted to use large stones like these, but the problem with them is that fish can't move them. They're too big. Plant roots can't move through them, and good bacteria will have nowhere to live. Large stones look great at first, but after a while they will often present a broad surface for algae to grow on. The other really useful thing you can use gravel for, if your pond is too deep, is to reduce the overall depth. This will give you a greater variety of water plants to grow, and the volume will be reduced, so filtering your pond will be easier. Today, with activated gravels like Zeolite and Mineral Magic, which are both Australian products, they will clarify the water, bind to and absorb ammonia, creating a healthy pond. All ponds, pots and water bowls are unique, and what works for one might not work for the other. But if we can eliminate the use of chemicals, we'll have a healthier pond, fish and plants, and that little bit of extra work to get it right will be well worth it.
Every time I come to this garden, I'm always impressed by these cycads, which we planted 10 years ago, and they've put on some magnificent growth. This is Cycas revoluta, the Japanese sago palm, and they're really quite versatile. They'll grow in light shade right through to full sun in a range of soils as long as they get reliable drainage. Now, when you're pruning off the old fronds, just be a little bit careful. As you go in here to the centre, it really does get quite spiky, so you probably want to wear gloves, and I'd suggest eye protection too. And one thing you may not know about cycads is you do get a female and a male, and if you look at this one, you can see this one's a male.
Depending on where you live, you might have experienced some warm weather and heavy rainfall throughout the spring and summer, and our lawns would have grown nice and thick and lush during that time. But as the weather begins to cool, that growth will slow right down, and autumn is the perfect time of year to start trimming, edging and mowing your lawns. When it comes to lawn care, the last mow you do should be before winter in late autumn, before it gets too cold. This way the lawn won't end up with browning tips on the grass blades and is less likely to turn yellow from any frost. Before pulling out the mower, a handy tip is to give your lawn a really good water before the last mow, as this will encourage a final flush of healthy growth and keep your lawn looking even better over the winter months. Before I mow, I like to use one of these. This is a grass trimmer, and I like to go along all my garden edges. And if you've got lawn that butts up against a driveway or a pathway, this will get everything looking nice and crisp again. The bump guard on the Stihl FSA 60R helps to protect your trees and retaining walls by maintaining a safe distance between the cutting head and the ground. It is important to make sure the head is level to avoid cutting too low or scalping, which can damage the grass. If the trimmer line breaks, simply tap the head on a hard surface at full throttle and the line will refill, a common feature on all Stihl grass trimmers. In the cooler months, our lawns don't grow back as quickly, so setting our mowers to a more medium height will help us avoid creating any bare patches that may not recover for a number of months. I like to set my mower to 50 to 70 mil, as I find at this height the blades are high enough to protect the roots of the grass when the temperature drops in winter, and it keeps the lawn looking good for the whole season. To make turning easier, start by doing 2 laps of the perimeter of your lawned area, and then mow the rest of the grass in straight lines. To keep your lines straight, focus on the ground around 2 to 3 meters ahead of the mower, rather than focusing on the wheels. Don't throw away your grass clippings. They are full of good nutrients for your garden. You can mix it into your compost heap, or you can even put it on your garden beds as a mulch. And as they break down, it will add nitrogen back into the soil. And when you're done with your mower, don't forget to check on the blades for wear and tear. And if they do need sharpening, you can take it into your local Stihl dealership before spring to get it all fixed up, ready in time. And before you know it, you'll have the best looking lawn on the block.
How does Mother Nature turn dirt into fertile, productive soil? Well, one of the pathways is in the creation of air spaces within that soil. Now, the best topsoils in the world are full of air, so much so that when you walk over them, they're light to the tread, and in fact you can actually see where you've been. These airy spaces let roots respire, yes, breathe. It allows the soil to hold massive quantities of moisture and gives friendly fungi access to minerals and delivers these essentials to the plant. In other words, it makes soil work to grow successful and productive plants of all sorts. Glomalin is the name of this glue that binds these soil particles together and creates those air spaces. Now, it's a natural product. It's formed by the same friendly fungi that you find in the fine feeder roots of virtually all the plants around the world. What can gardeners do to build this vital soil structure? Adding compost to the soil is the secret. Seasol liquid compost contains highly active liquid composts, as well as seaweed, fish and nutrients to help revitalise all soils. Being a liquid, it's an easy-to-use, no-dig solution, which goes to work immediately on any soil type. It's safe to slosh around the garden, pour onto your pot plants, and even use to add organic material to existing lawns. If you're planting a new vegetable garden, this is an effective way to get those friendly fungi into top gear. Well, glomalin is probably the most important glue in the world because of its beneficial effect on soil. Now, things to avoid include excessive compaction or cultivation, the use of high nitrogen and high phosphate fertilisers, as well as insecticides and fungicides. Now, this Seasol liquid compost helps to grow glomalin in the soil, rehabilitate your soils and grow beautiful, healthy plants.
If you're looking for a well-behaved climber, you can't go past Lecomatus. Now, it's a little bit touchy when it's super warm, but one thing to get them to grow beautifully is a cool root zone. And this little tip, a pot inside a pot, is a fantastic idea.
I've got a great crop pot project for you this week, And I'm bringing it to you from my favourite nursery. Now, this is Swan Valley Nursery, and they grow the most amazing range of edible plants, but I'm kind of teasing you a little bit. It's a little bit cruel because you can't come here and buy them. The good news is you can find all of their plants in your local garden centre. This collection is all about health. I've selected spring onions, which are good for digestion, and they're loaded with vitamins like A and C, and they're a rich source of magnesium, potassium and phosphorus. Best of all, they help regulate blood sugar levels. And then there's dill, a great source of vitamins A and C, jam-packed full of flavonoids, which is believed to help reduce the risk of stroke and heart disease. Now, last but not least in my planter here is this amazing fragrant herb. It is chives, and chives are just delicious. They're so good for you, and they are so handy to use in so many different ways. But here's the thing with them. They're a rich source of vitamin K, and vitamin K is really good for bone density, so it just makes you stronger. So it's really important that you incorporate it into your diet. They're a good source of folate, and best of all, when you put them in a planter like this, well, they perform exceptionally well. They do really well in garden beds, but in pots, they love it. The trick to successful pot-grown edibles lies with the soil. Fill your pot 30% with an absolute top-of-the-range potting mix. This is one of the best. And don't be scared to fill almost every centimetre of the pot. These plants will enjoy the competition, and that'll make them crop faster. These Ello's self-watering pots are absolutely sensational for this kind of planter because these plants are actually going to get quite large and fill the pot out really well. The last thing you need to make sure you do is just water it in with a little bit of sea salt over the top just to help them settle and avoid transplant shock. And voila, another delish edible planter ready to go.
One of my all-time favourite frangipanis is this one. It was bred in Germany. It's called Engel, which is German for angel, and has the most gorgeous perfume, really sweet. And it's an evergreen plant, so these leaves stay on year-round. It's quite a tall variety, so a great one for the landscape.
The last few months we have harvested so much food from our veggie garden, and the soil is in need of a little bit of a boost. And this is really common when you're growing a lot of produce plants because they absorb so much goodness from our soil. But before I start planting out the new seedlings, I'm going to give the soil some good old TLC. Turning the soil over at the end of each growing season will help the overall structure to become more friable if it has compacted down. And in recent months, I've been adding this, a soil conditioner to my garden beds. Why? Well, it improves the water retention within the soil and allows my plants to absorb moisture more readily. But the benefits don't end there. Mineral Magic Garden Soil Conditioner also improves the physical properties of the soil by enhancing the biological and biochemical properties within your garden, creating a healthier soil environment for plants to thrive in. I've got quite a loam, sometimes a bit of a clay soil base here in my garden, but adding a soil conditioner can help with the porosity with that soil and make it more friable, making it easier for plants to establish their roots into. But if you've got sandy soil, using a conditioner is a miracle because it can help stop nutrient leaching, meaning you'll have yummy, healthy plants. And it's easy to apply. Use a rate of 2 kilos per square metre. Grab a good old garden cultivator and work it through the top 20 centimetres of the soil surface. Water it in thoroughly, and that's it. Best of all, once this has been added to the soil, no further soil conditioning will be required afterwards. The Mineral Magic will be working the soil, improving the water retention, meaning that you'll spend less time watering and more time enjoying seeing your plants grow. It also improves the overall health and disease resilience of plants, ideal when growing produce because the less pest and fungal issues, the better the yields will be. And you won't have to worry about any spray solutions. Now that the soil has been rejuvenated, cultivated and conditioned, all I have to do is feed these veggies every 3 months. And this way, in a few months' time, I'll have an abundance of food to pick from my very own garden.
Guess what? It's weed season. Wet season rains are driving a massive germination of weed seeds. In lawns, you can use weed and feed now, and in gardens, well, you can cultivate or use a herbicide. And now there are some really good organic options available. The people from Roundup have been listening to you. I've got good news. This is a completely natural formulation that does the work that Roundup always did for you. It controls a whole wide range of weeds, but it's using a completely natural ingredient, an linoleic acid. It is a terrific treatment for just about all weeds. The great thing is you'll get the results in just 12 hours. Annual weeds are a problem because they burst into growth using huge amounts of energy. That's drawn from the nutrient that you spent all summer building up in your soils. So controlling them is important. Cultivating turns weeds into green manure, but it also unearths more seeds, causing continual growth and maintenance work. This time of the year, as the weeds start to take off, this has got to be the most practical way to treat them. The good thing about the design is that when it comes with this little wand, it gives you the specific shot that you need so you can pinpoint the plants and kill them on contact. Now, the great thing about this is it is a completely natural way to treat them, but it is effective once you've sprayed over the top of the foliage. So reach in, pick the plants that you want, and allows you to pinpoint them out of the garden beds without having to do your back in every time you're weeding. First up, let me say, everything that kills anything needs protection, but this is a natural ingredient. So gloves, safety glasses, if there's some breeze around, and that's all you'll really have to worry about. And the trick with this spray is to get it all over the foliage. Do it when the weather is dry, ideally in the morning, and 12 hours later, you'll start seeing results. Now, don't worry, this doesn't contain glyphosate. It is a completely natural plant chemical or type of acid. In fact, it's what they call pelargonic acid, like pelargoniums, the geraniums. And what it does, the way it works, well, it's quite remarkable. It effectively washes away the waxy cuticle on the outside of the leaf. It opens it up, and by disrupting the cells, it allows it to dry out, effectively desiccating the plant, drying it from the inside out. And I know it sounds a little bit gory, but when it comes to getting rid of weeds safely, this is a brilliant way to go. Weed control safely starts here. Be sensible, but be smart. A natural ingredient controlling weeds is just a smart way to get control, and you can apply it using the 1 litre trigger pack or the 2.5 litre pressure sprayer, which is ideal for larger gardens. It's pet and family friendly. The packaging is child and pet resistant, and, well, it's just simple to use. But remember, this is a total kill, so only spray what you want to die. If it comes in contact with other things, it can burn them, can damage them. Now, the great thing about this is it is all natural. The guys at Roundup have been listening, and now we've got something that's absolutely brilliant. And it's also the time to get out and get control of your weeds. It's never been easier this way. Well, that's it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, the good news is we are back next week with another great episode of The Garden Gurus. If you want to know anything from today's show, all you have to do is simply check out our website. We've got a great resource there of videos, fact sheets and links to some of the stories that we've done. And if you want to ask a specific question, become a friend on Facebook. We do answer your questions. And we also have our Facebook Live Gardening Club. I'm Trevor Cochran. I look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of The Garden Gurus.